I represent a non-racial organization, but we do not fight for white people. Why? Why should we fight for them? What do you want? What do they want? When you say you are fighting for all in South Africa, black and white, what do white people want? Except to want to remain in a position of privilege. That's what they want. They want to remain in a position of privilege, and we are rejecting that. There is no white person who's going to remain in a position of privilege. We must all be equal. And in bringing the equality, we have to take deliberate decisions to empower the less privileged to be at the same level with those who are privileged.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Thank you very much for choosing us. Today is Joel Mugisha here. So on today's episode, guys, we actually are going to South Africa. Malema has done it again. Actually, he is saying South Africa is for black South Africans and not for whites. He fights only for black South Africans and not for white South Africans. So guys, remember to subscribe if you are not, like the video, drop a comment. Let's dive into the video and then we're gonna come back and talk about this.
I came here not to please anyone. I'm here to speak the truth, whether you like it or not. It's your own baby to feed, Malta Bella. I'm not in the business of going around to please people. I only tell the truth. Now, I represent a non-racial organization, but we do not fight for white people. Why? Why should we fight for them? What do you want? What do they want? When you say you are fighting for all in South Africa, black and white, what do white people want? Except to want to remain in a position of privilege. That's what they want. They want to remain in a position of privilege, and we are rejecting that. There is no white person who's going to remain in a position of privilege. We must all be equal. And in bringing the equality, we have to take deliberate decisions to empower the less privileged to be at the same level with those who are privileged.
America can never be welcomed here in South Africa, in the African continent, because we know when they come here, they are coming to check what more can we steal and finish off this continent.
I will never get tired. No one can make me tired. I march forward to the victory of our people. The revolution in South Africa is guaranteed that under the EFF, this country will be the better. Stand up, South Africa. Make sure that South Africa, you are counted with me. Rise, South Africa. Stand and make sure that our people understand that they need to be counted. You must be counted. You must be part of history. You must make sure that you are one of the people who are going to deliver economic freedom in our lifetime. Freedom in our lifetime. America!
When you take the land in Zimbabwe, South Africa should have followed, Mozambique should have followed, Malawi should have followed, so that they've got nowhere to go. And they say, we now have to negotiate this thing because it's becoming a continental project. The same way with the copper in Zambia, we should have followed. But unfortunately, we didn't have our democracy then. And by doing so, the markets will have no option but to listen to us. But if you nationalize in isolation, you'll be isolated by the world. That's why this continent must reclaim that rightfully belongs to them, so that when you isolate us as one. And when you isolate us as one, you will not have mineral resources, because platinum is, majority of it is found here. Where will you get it if we are one?
You keep on referring to old things because you are now beginning to sound like a scratched CD.
You have every right to tell me you have changed.
Tell me of me now. I've been in parliament for 10 years.
Let's take one particular aspect of your policy positions.
Yes.
Do you think aligning yourself with Vladimir Putin is going to be good for South Africa?
But that's what it is now. South Africa is in alliance with Russia, with India, with Brazil, with China. So why are you asking me as if it's some policy that is going to be implemented
South Africa right
after
now,
I took over? South Africa is in alliance with Russia now.
South Africa right now calls itself non-aligned.
In the context of the war, but these are two different things. South Africa is an ally of Russia. Now, the second question is, where does South Africa stand on the war? It says, I'm a non-aligned in relation to war, but Russia remains South Africa's friend. So we cannot create confusion around there. Don't create an impression that it is Malema who's going to come and create an alliance with Russia.
But there are some very specific...
Actually, I will go beyond that. I will go beyond the friendship with Russia, and in the war, I will align with Russia, and I will even supply the weapons to Russia. Because Russia is in a war with imperialism, and any agenda that seeks to push back imperialist agendas, it's well within the policies of the EFF.
You say quite clearly, I would arm Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
You know that the International Criminal Court wants Vladimir Putin to face war crimes charges.
It must start with Tony Blair. It must start with George Bush. It must go to Barack Obama. Then it can go to Putin.
So let's get this straight. You're saying to me that your policy, if you were in power in South Africa, is quite simple. That your enemy's enemy, and it seems you regard the US and its allies as the enemy, your enemy's enemy is your friend. Never mind if he's a suspected war criminal, never mind if the UN and the ICC say they have compelling evidence of Russian war crimes. You don't care. As far as you're concerned, my enemy's enemy is my friend.
You're exaggerating, but another point which you don't want me to go there is that Tony Blair accepted that they were wrong about Saddam Hussein to an extent that he did an apology of a thug, right? You have never called for his arrest. A man admitting that I was wrong. To how many people died there, killed by those people. So all I'm saying is, we are with President Putin because it's not enemy of my enemy. It is an anti-imperialist agenda that says the American dominance and its allies should be undermined at all costs.
Anti-imperialism, even though Vladimir Putin is quite explicit about his desire to revive a form of empire. He says countries like Ukraine have no right to independent sovereign existence. He appears to believe that the best thing would be to revive an empire, the Soviet empire. But you're anti-imperialist?
We are anti-imperialist. That's a debate for another day. The war is not what he's talking. The war is about the expansion. And had there been a common ground found, this could have been avoided. We are not for imperialism, even if it were to come from Russia. If he does that, we'll condemn it. But we know for a fact that progressive forces such as China have also aligned themselves with Putin to try and create an alternative from the imperialist domination of the world. And that's what the EFF is about.
You admire China, you admire, it seems, Putin. What you seem to have as a vision for South Africa's future is much more along those lines, authoritarianism than democracy.
No, socialism is not authoritarianism.
So how can you describe China as progressive?
No, it's very progressive. China subscribed to Leninism and Marxism, where the working class control the commanding heights of the economy. And that's what we subscribe for. We are of the means of production being owned and controlled by the states. We want South Africa through the vision and the image of China, where you grow the economy, where you reduce unemployment, where you reduce poverty, and you can't take that away from China. And the state plays the central role with regard to that.
That kind of message and the messaging on Russia has seen the rand plunge against the US dollar. Hang on, we see many corporations in South Africa looking at establishing headquarters elsewhere. We see foreign direct investment flatlining in this country. Do you believe that the rhetoric you are using is good for the South African economy?
I've been doing this from when you interviewed me
15 years ago when I was young. And therefore you can't say the rand to dollar crisis today is created by this message that I've been spreading for so many years, from my early ages. And then this
No, but what I'm
has been
suggesting is that the new
party-
tensions between Washington and the government in South Africa have definitely affected the financial markets.
No, it was the crisis as we see it today, as we have this conversation, me and you. It was worsened by the irresponsible utterances by the ambassador of the USA, who just recklessly, without following the diplomatic protocols, went out to make certain allegations about our country, damaging its good image, and then undermining its sovereignty in terms of choosing who its friends are. And today we see the rand being weak because of such utterances. Why would the rand be weakened by a political posture that says this is what we want to be when we take over government? We want a government that will be owned by the corrupt free. I admire China when it comes to how it deals with crime. I admire China when it comes to how it deals with infrastructural development. I admire China on how it has dealt with poverty and unemployment. How would that weaken the rand? Is that not what the investors want for all of us?
The most likely way that you can get a grip on some power in this country is by forming a coalition with the ANC after the next election. You could have a role if you were to do a deal with the ANC. Are you ready to do it?
The reality is that the EFF is the only organization that is growing, and that the DA and the ANC, the DA, which is the official opposition,
Yeah.
ANC, which is the ruling party, are both significantly declining to a point where the DA called us the enemy number one. Why did they do so? Their own internal research tells them that the EFF has overtaken you. That's how much our policy position has attracted the people of South Africa. We are not going into coalition for positions. We are going to say anyone who wants to work with us, and we've said this before, and that's why we're not working with anyone in the local governments. If you want to work with us, you are going to expropriate land without compensation. You are going to nationalize the mines. You are going to establish a state-owned bank. You are going to make sure that we fight crime fire by fire to make this country a safer place. Those are just but minimal, non-negotiable points that will engage with anyone who wants to work with us.
All of that,
Non-negotiable.
non-negotiable. On that basis, it's hard to imagine you can make a coalition with anyone.
ANC was more than willing. Actually, ANC was at a point of signing with us on expropriation of land without compensation. Remember, we even put this in Parliament. How did it pass to a point where Parliament had to do an investigation if the ANC was not agreeing? We were almost at the edge of getting a deal. And some young ANC clowns decided to vote against this. But we are not going to retreat in returning the land back into the hands of our people. And don't tell me about Zimbabwe. This is going to be done through a democratic means, like we did, in consultation with all South Africans, black and white, on how best do we get the rest of our people owning the land and other strategic sectors of the economy.
You know there are some South Africans, and let us be blunt, many white South Africans,
Yes,
who fear Julius Malema. Some of them have said to me, if Malema gets to power or close to power, I will leave this country. Do you welcome their fear, or do you want to find ways to overcome their fear?
I don't welcome their fear. Stephen, they said that about Mandela, the most celebrated Mandela. You're talking about me. They said if Mandela, a prisoner, becomes the president, who are leaving this country, and they left. I was in the Vaal River the other day, looking at some of the houses that whites abandoned in 1994 when Mandela became a president. They are not scared of Julius Malema. They are scared of an independent black man who's not controlled by any white person, who's not controlled by London.
Last year, you said this, it was after you'd questioned whether a particular white person, why they hadn't been located and, quote, taken to an isolated space where our supporters could attend to the guy properly. And you went on to say, you must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because killing is part of the revolutionary act.
Absolutely.
This was last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't say you're a revolutionary and then be scared to kill. But once you go killing people around, you're a terrorist. When you've got the support of the majority of your people to engage in war, and the majority of the people are with you, that is the revolution. It's not terrorism. And therefore, I'm not a terrorist. That's why I'm saying, at least for now, the conditions have not dictated that there should be anyone who should go to the bush and engage in war to kill. But if those conditions necessitate, will without hesitation do that. The same way the generations before us, when conditions necessitated, they were not scared to take up guns and shoot to kill. So I'm not saying anyone must be killed. All I'm saying is, let everybody come to the party. Let's build this one country and give away our privilege,
but
for the privilege of all.
Your vision of South Africa's future, will it come through the ballot box, or will it come through what you call a revolution?
It will come through the ballot box. A ballot box that produces a revolutionary party will unleash the revolution. And the revolution, when it is unleashed through democratically elected government, is the changing of the system, where you radically defeat capitalism and introduce a socialist state. We still believe in the EFF, fundamentally so, that the power to the people must be ushered in through the ballot. And nothing else must be looked at except the ballot. However, when the need arises to defend ourselves through whatever means necessary, we'll do so without hesitation.
Guys, you heard that. You heard Julius Malema. For those of you guys who don't know who Julius Malema is, Julius Malema is an opposition leader in South Africa, and he's one of the radical leaders that actually have come up in the recent years in Africa, guys. And you can see his main fight on the African continent and in South Africa has been against white supremacy and against imperialism. So guys, as you see, Julius Malema says he does not fight for white people in South Africa. He fights for the black people who are the majority in South Africa, but they continue to be ruled by the white minority in South Africa, because you know those minority palm-colored people in South Africa acquired and grabbed a lot of lands in South Africa, the best farming lands, and every corporation that you can think of. The South African economy is actually controlled by the minority palm-colored people who are actually controlling much of the South African economy. And because of apartheid, when the people of South Africa, the black South Africans, came from apartheid, they received freedom, but they never received reparation. Their lands, which were grabbed, they remained in possession of the palm-colored people who are the minority in South Africa. So guys, Malema actually has been fighting against that, and he has been saying when he gets in office, he's gonna actually nationalize every land. He's gonna take back what the palm-colored people stole from the black people of South Africa. And also, he has been siding with the East and countries like China and Russia, President Putin, fighting against imperialism. Guys, tell me what you think of today's video on the comment section below, and let me know of your opinion of Malema. Is he a good leader or is he a bad leader? Thank you very much for watching us and choosing us today. My name is Joel Mugisha, and as always guys, see you on the next episode.